You're looking at Joe Burrow being the guy that I was in on the beginning of the year. Clearly, that is no longer an option. So where are we looking on this board? And I keep landing on the same thing, which is, Baker Mayfield's been kind of the story this year. Think about this. He's plus 950 for MVP. They look like right now one of the, if not the most formidable team in the NFC.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Great quarterback, the best quarterback in football. But when you play a 60-minute game of football on national TV and the referees do not call a single penalty against you when you committed 13 penalties the week before in a nationally televised loss, I'm sorry, but the jig is up.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
I apologize to our fans. We need to do better. That's all you need to say, Scott, right? But yeah. Tua goes out there, my kids love me. I'm rich. I don't care. You got your dumbass coach coming out here, and we play to win. You got to win the game, and you got to win. And, the Dolphins press conferences make it way worse. If I was a Dolphin fan, I just want to punch these guys in the face.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all three Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on
Time to rise and grind. It's the early line on a Football Friday right here on the Sports Grid Network. What a time to be alive. Why is that? Because a huge football weekend is set up. A number 2 team in the nation is going to play tonight in college football. Did you also know a doubleheader in Major League Baseball tonight? And then a wonderful weekend capped off by a full Sunday card. Oh my goodness, sometimes 2 hours just isn't enough. Well, this is the early line. I'm Donnie Rightside. He's Joe Ranieri, and you know the drill. Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m., we got you covered on all the hottest topics. And my goodness, there are way too many topics to get to today, Joe, but we are doing our best to cover them all for the people. That's what we do.
It's been an interesting, Monday through Thursday already. Now we kick into Friday, and the narratives and the headlines, Donnie, are not going to stop over the next 72 hours by any means.
No, they are not going to stop. And here's what's also not going to stop. 2 aging quarterbacks dueling on a Thursday night. It's time to pour one out and get caffeinated with the old-timers, Joe Ranieri.
Oh, Donnie, yes. See, today on this Friday, we are raising our coffee mugs to the old guys, because in a world that is obsessed with youth, potential, and, of course, the next big thing, last night, we got a beautiful and glorious reminder, Donnie, that we'll never, ever count out the old dogs. And let's start on that gridiron, Donnie, right? Thursday Night Football, the Bengals, 4-game losing streak. Their season's on life support, and they're facing, of course, their hated rival, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, what did they trot out there to try to save them? How about a 40-year-old Joe Flacco, a guy who has been on the team for all of 9 days, Donnie. And what does he do? Well, he goes out there and puts on an absolute clinic. 342, 3 touchdowns. He sets a franchise record with 16 completions to Jamar Chase. Finally, somebody can get the ball to Jamar Chase. And with the game on the line, he ends up leading them on a game-winning drive to save their season. This is a 40-year-old guy who everybody wrote off and just walked in off the street and did that last night, Donnie. And if that wasn't enough for you, if you switch the channel and head over to Major League Baseball, you saw the Toronto Blue Jays down 2-1 in an American League Championship Series. It was the single biggest and most important game of their season. And who did they give the ball to, Donnie? a 41-year-old Max Scherzer, a guy who hasn't pitched since September 24th, a guy that was even left off the roster in the last series because they thought he was done. And in the fifth inning, when his manager comes out to take the ball and says, hey, great job, what does he do? If you read lips, then you know exactly what he told his manager. He said, I want the ball. Yeah, he said more than that. Then he goes out and delivers the best start in months, his longest playoff outing since 2021. A 41-year-old guy that everybody thought was cooked just put the entire team on his back. So what's the lesson here for us bettors? Well, it's simple. We can't forget about experience. We can't forget about pride. And that F-off mentality, Donnie, that you only get from being counted out more than a dozen times. And sometimes the best bet on the board isn't on the young guy or the young phenom. It's on the 40-year-old guy with ice in his veins, who's been there, who's done that, and has absolutely nothing left to prove, except that he can still get it done. So today we're celebrating the old guys, Donnie. Anybody that's ever pulled a calf or a hamstring at 40 years old at the softball game and the picnic, this is to you guys. You are not done yet.
And how about this? Sometimes you take a look at those old timers who I like the over. That was my best bet on the show yesterday in that Mariners game because I thought Max Scherzer would give up the majority of the runs. He didn't. So sometimes better to be lucky than good and pick up some victories. But the old timers were on display yesterday as we flip it over to the early lineup, and that includes Thursday night football. I sat here on this show yesterday and all week long, even on Game Time Decisions last night in Newswire. What do you make of this game, Donnie? Cincinnati Bengals and the Pittsburgh Steelers. I said to myself, I can't get a grip on this. The Steelers are supposed to blow out the Bengals. The Bengals are bad, but something is holding me back in this game. You know what it was? It was Joe Flacco. 31 completions, 47 passing attempts in this game, 342 yards, 3 touchdowns, and no interceptions, and a Cincinnati Bengals win to save their season. An unbelievable performance. And by the way, Aaron Rodgers, no slouch either. 4 touchdowns, did throw 2 interceptions, but the old men in the sea were tossing it up and down the field. 64 total points, Joe.
Donnie, this was the simplest. I mean, if it ain't broke, we aren't fixing it. We've told you all week long that Mike Tomlin's biggest bugaboo with the Steelers is his team's playing down to competition and not steamrolling games like this. 3-18 against the number Mike Tomlin was as a road favorite of more than a field goal after coming off a home win. This is a guy whose teams absolutely play down, and they played down again last night to the Cincinnati Bengals, only this time they had a quarterback that could actually get the ball to some of the best wide receivers in the game. And voila, shocker, Mike Tomlin can't get it done on a Thursday night.
And see what happens when you have a running game, too. Chase Brown, 11 carries, 108, opens up everything. Samaje Perine, 7 for 131. They ran for 142 yards, talking about the Bengals here, for 6.2 yards per carry. No slouch for Pittsburgh. They actually ran for 7.4 yards per carry on the road and lost that football game. Where was the Steelers' defense? We'll get to that more in just a little bit. But other hot topics out there. Joe Burrow was in the building. You saw him on the sidelines there, cheering on. There's a chance that Joe Burrow can come back in December if the Cincinnati Bengals have a legitimate chance to make the playoffs. But then if they do, why rush him back? Because that means your boy Joe Flacco is out here balling, Joe.
It's hilarious because it's not like we haven't seen Flacco do this a couple of years ago in Cleveland, right? So why not? Why not here with better receivers, better talent on the offensive line? And they did it without Hendrickson, too, by the way. Yeah, so Burrow has got to be ecstatic with what he just saw last night. Listen, the sooner the better, obviously, that you can get him back. But I think everyone in Cincinnati can take a little bit of a deep breath here and a sigh of relief with what they just witnessed.
How about this sigh of relief? Curt Cignetti is going to be back with Indiana. And by the way, congratulations to his agent understanding the task at hand with big programs firing their coaches. Level up your head coach. And that's what Cignetti, big-time paycheck, contract through 2033 with IU.
You got to appreciate it, right? You got to appreciate the lawyer. You got to appreciate them taking advantage. I mean, listen, he could have ran the free agent circuit, right? And he probably could have named his price into any one of the blue blood programs if he wanted. But you know what? He's pretty happy continuing to be the underdog in Indiana, and that should scare the rest of college football.
You know, it doesn't scare the rest of the NBA. Paul George, why? Probably not going to play opening night, still rehabbing an injury that happened over the summer while he was working out. And quite frankly, he might as well have been rehabbing that injury all last year. He wasn't very good at basketball. The Sixers, the injured Sixers to start the season.
But tell me the truth, Donnie, right? Honestly, as a Sixer guy, this is not one of the most beautiful lineups on paper that you've seen. Unfortunately, it'll never be on the court together, but on paper, it looks like a really, really great roster.
Spencer Dinwiddie waived by the Hornets after signing a one-year deal in July. And how about this? I sent a tweet out yesterday. A.J. Green, who used to be a wide receiver for the Cincinnati Bengals and a couple other teams, had a great career. 2 years, $45 million extension with the Bucks. And honest, like, I wear my heart on the sleeve on this show, and I tell you the truth, I never heard of this guy, Joe. I never heard of him. He could have been an AI guy. I don't know.
Donnie, the honesty is refreshing, my man. It really is. The fact that you just laid it out there and was like, I learned something. You're never too old to learn, right, Donnie? Isn't that what they say?
Never too old to learn here. Now, also learning a PR trick. Not always so great to sign a goalie that just went through a major scandal and have to put up with it and put out a statement for your hockey team. That's what Vegas did with Carter Hart.
Yeah, kudos in Vegas, of all places. That sounds like a great idea here. But hey, this just goes to show you, right? It's supply and demand. Not enough quality goaltenders here worth taking a shot on. So you dig up Carter Hart.
If you are good at any sport, you get second opportunities, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and sometimes seventh opportunities. Spreadlines coming up next. Miami Hurricanes edition.
$20 million too much as far as I'm concerned, but it's not like you're indebted to him or you have to follow through with him. Like, what are we doing? Try to win the damn game by bringing in a quarterback that can actually throw the ball. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know what the loyalty to Fields is here and why you thought he gave you the best shot at winning that game without going to the bench.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Hopefully these go better. I'm smashed before one on these games. I cannot believe that this game destroyed me. I can. Why did I get involved live? That's on me. Not
that
you.
Is on you.
All right.
That's on you.
You didn't have to run up the score. I said it was on me.
It was on you.
Right.
You just didn't see the writing on the wall. Knee it! Let's get out of Dodge!
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Can I get an ISO? Come on. Give me the ISO over here.
Give me the ISO. He wants the camera.
Look, I'm going to get nice and comfortable right now. I've been telling you people out there, yes, you people, about the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. My connection to the Irish growing up as a kid, I hated that team. But they called me at the network the most unbiased man here, which means I'm giving you the information straight from the mouth here. You don't have to go anywhere. You get it from me.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
I think Kendre Miller's role continues to grow in this offense. So I think as you're looking at bye weeks continuing on and looking for running back depth, as always, we all know the dynamic can change in a minute, right? We've done this so many times in the last couple of weeks. We were adding Woody Marks before his game. We were adding Brashard Smith last week. I still want to add Brashard Smith this week. I want to add the guys that I think have upside for the second half, and Kendre Miller is definitely one of those backs.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Who's ready for a little Spreadlines action here on a Friday morning? It is a football Friday. We love football, but also today we got Major League Baseball that you're going to want to pay attention to as well. But more importantly here, Joe, when we take a look at football games, Nebraska and Minnesota. Wait a second. I thought you were talking about the Hurricanes. We'll get there. Big Ten battle, Matt Rule. And here's what I love about this game. His dream job, quote unquote, is the Penn State Nittany Lions job. Every time he gets a win, it's going to look better for the Penn State Nittany Lions or his agent to re-up another contract with the Nebraska Cornhuskers. This line opened up around 5.5, Joe. We're now sitting at some outlets over 7 points at -7.5 as a road favorite towards Nebraska. The total is set at 47.5. Nebraska on the road to take on P.J. Fleck, rowing the boat with the Minnesota Golden Gophers. What is the spread line for this game tonight, Joe?
Well, I think they call him what? Mini Mahomes, right? Dylan Raiola, the Nebraska quarterback. Yes. Well, he's going to be on full display here tonight in a primetime game. And it's interesting because not only him, but this entire Cornhuskers team, this line opened up at 5.5, Donnie. It has been bet up as high as -9 middle of the week. And we talked about this game on Monday, and I said we need to keep an eye on this one, and we need to keep an eye on the next one we're going to talk about with Miami and Louisville. But there is no doubt that the Matt Rule, that whole idea of every program he's been to, the third year is the year that they kick it into another gear. And yes, he played linebacker for Penn State. He's a Penn State alum. Everyone's talking about him. But it doesn't escape the fact, Donnie, that this would have been a perfect game in which the public is going to be like, wait a minute. What I mean, Minnesota at home with P.J. Fleck, like what is going on here? Well, what's going on here is clear, is that P.J. Fleck, this is not the old Minnesota teams, especially defensively, Donnie. You know why? Because he lost his stud defensive coordinator who, by the way, you'll be able to see tonight, Donnie, because you know where he's at? He's the University of Miami, #1 defense in the country. He's their defensive coordinator. They have no offense. They have absolutely no more defense, and that is why this line has moved where it is. Nebraska is the better team and should handle business here tonight.
From the Big Ten over to the ACC tonight, down in Miami Gardens, Florida here. That's going to be the Hurricanes taking on Louisville. Look at this line, Joe. Opened up 15.5 at some outlets. Now we're seeing that below 2 touchdowns. 13.5 is the prevailing line across many of the sports books. A total listed at 50.5. The #2 Miami Hurricanes, fresh off of a bye, perfect season underway. The spread line for Louisville and Miami tonight, Joe, is what?
Well, it's funny because, again, when we talked about this on Monday, I said, Donnie, this line is 13.5, and I'm going to be very interested to see if the public gets involved, because we know the public is going to look at Louisville here and say, because we haven't seen either of these teams in a couple of weeks, right? So I wonder whether or not the public is not running to the window to lay 2 touchdowns with anybody here on a night. Plus, there's still that feeling of, wow, you know, waiting for Miami, that other shoe to drop there. Mario Cristobal, Mario. Yeah, I know. But the problem is the public and the tickets and the money have all been on Louisville this week, Donnie. And yet not once has this line moved. You know what that means? That means the line is frozen for a reason. It will not get the 14. There is plenty enough influential money in the marketplace keeping this exactly where it's going to be at kickoff, which is just under 2 touchdowns for the University of Miami.
Primetime game for Carson Beck, one of the leaders in the clubhouse to win the Heisman Trophy. We'll see what the Hurricanes do tonight in that game. But back to the Big Ten we go for a Saturday affair, 3 o'clock. Purdue and Northwestern. Now, why would we be looking at this game? Purdue's not that good. Northwestern actually just got a head coach fired in a massive upset at Happy Valley. Look at this look-ahead line, Joe. I saw some outlets as close to a touchdown. Ain't there anymore. -2.5 and -3s and a total of 46.5. Northwestern riding high and mighty at home against Purdue. What's the spread line for this one?
Well, and this is the one you got to ask yourself, Donnie, right? So what, are we looking at a absolute letdown spot here for the Wildcats, right? I mean, 20.5-point underdog against Penn State, and they pull the outright upset here. That's the big question here. I can tell you this, though. This Purdue team is a lot better than people give them credit for here. I think Coach Barry Odom and company here will have these guys ready to go. It would not shock me if just before kickoff, Donnie, this weekend, that this line begins to move a lot closer to Purdue than it does Northwestern. It is the ultimate of ultimate letdown spots here.
Let's watch it play out here. Back to the NFL 405 out on the West Coast. It's the Colts, taking on the Chargers. Jones versus Herbert. Slight favorite opened up for the Colts at 1.5. Now we see that favorite here for Herbert and also the Chargers. Understand this. Joe Alt practiced yesterday, good sign, and Quentin Johnston practiced as well. This line has a lot of tickets lining up on the Colts, but do we see some reverse line movement? What's the spread line, Joe? Indianapolis versus L.A.?
That's exactly what you're seeing here. You're seeing the public look at this Colts team at 5-1, and then they're looking at, a barely 500 Chargers team and going, wait a minute, why the Chargers? I didn't think they had home field advantage. Like, why are they the favorite? Yes, you're right. Percentage of tickets, percentage of money all week long has been on the Colts. And yet this line opened up 1.5, and guess where it is now? It is 2 and likely going to 2.5 before it is all said and done. And the big reason is this is the biggest public versus the Joes versus the pros game here. The pros feel like this entire Colts thing, congratulations, but it will come crashing down against a good quarterback and a good defense. They're going to get both of those this weekend.
One more spread line, the Philadelphia Eagles and the Minnesota Vikings. Carson Wentz going to get a chance to knock off the guy who knocked him out of town. It's Jalen Hurts. The Philadelphia Eagles holding strong here as a favorite in this game at a total of 43.5. A lot of question marks for the Eagles, a lot of question marks for Minnesota. What is the spread line here, Joe?
Well, and you said it there, Donnie, right? A lot of question marks here. Now the public is even beginning to question Philadelphia here and what is going on with this offense. Now you've got a really good defense in Minnesota. You've seen a lot of tickets and a lot of money so far. Doesn't matter who the quarterback is backing Minnesota. I would wait until kickoff, Donnie, if I'm looking to back Minnesota. Bet Philadelphia now if you like them.
How about this? Were you betting the Pittsburgh Steelers or the Bengals last night? Let's recap that crazy game in the AFC North next.
$20 million too much as far as I'm concerned, but it's not like you're indebted to him or you have to follow through with him. Like, what are we doing? Try to win the damn game by bringing in a quarterback that can actually throw the ball. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know what the loyalty to Fields is here and why you thought he gave you the best shot at winning that game without going to the bench.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Hopefully these go better. I'm smashed before 1 on these games. I cannot believe that this game destroyed me. I can. Why did I get involved live? That's on me, not
That
you.
is on you.
All right.
That's on you.
You didn't have to run up the score. I said it was on me.
It was on you.
Right.
You just didn't see the writing on the wall. Knee it! Let's get out of Dodge!
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Can I get an ISO? Come on. Give me the ISO over here.
Give
right
me the
here.
ISO. He wants the camera.
Look, I'm going to get nice and comfortable right now. I've been telling you people out there, yes, you people, about the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. My connection to the Irish growing up as a kid. I hated that team. But they called me at the network the most unbiased man here, which means I'm giving you the information straight from the mouth here. You don't have to go anywhere. You get it from me.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
I think Kendre Miller's role continues to grow in this offense. So I think as you're looking at bye weeks continuing on and looking for running back depth, as always, we all know the dynamic can change in a minute, right? We've done this so many times in the last couple of weeks. We were adding Woody Marks before his game. We were adding Brashard Smith last week. I still want to add Brashard Smith this week. I want to add the guys that I think have upside for the second half, and Kendre Miller is definitely one of those backs.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to the Early Line right here on a Football Friday on the SportsGrid Network. No better better place to be than right here, right now? I'm Donnie Rightside. He's Joe Ranier. And last night we saw an epic battle. Didn't know we would get out of that game. The Pittsburgh Steelers were a 5.5-point favorite. Total coming in around 44.5 to 45, depending where you're shopping at around game time. What did we see? 33-31 final with a great comeback for the Steelers and another great comeback for the Cincinnati Bengals. Joe Flacco threw for 342 yards and 3 touchdowns. Aaron Rodgers threw for 249 and 4 touchdowns. And here's Joe Flacco talking about the game yesterday, post-game, about him and Aaron Rodgers playing in this bad boy.
Man, it's a lot of fun. Obviously it's a lot of fun towards the end of the game when you're getting ready to go. But, this is what we do it for, is games like that. It came down to the wire just like we know it's going to. And really happy about how the guys just kind of stayed with it for a full 60 minutes. And, our offensive line was going today, We're running the football, protecting, doing a lot of things that we wanted to do.
Wild to watch this game finish because Joe Flacco was right. The issue that I had with the Cincinnati Bengals coming into the game wasn't that they had great wide receivers or Flacco couldn't spin it downfield. My question was, could that offensive line hold up against that Steelers pass rush? And it did. Now, granted, they gave up 2 sacks, but no turnovers for Joe Flacco, a passer rating of 108.6, 342 in the air, 3 touchdown passes. The running game got cranked up, and they had a comeback at the end of the game. What a perfect scenario for Joe Flacco, who's been in town less than 2 weeks, Joe.
Well, and really, it was the running game is what nullified the pass rush. His ability to get it out quickly, which again he did, and that comes with experience, right? And knowing that you have all I got to do is put it in the right spot. I got 2 of the best wide receivers in the game, and good things will happen. But it was that running game that really made Pittsburgh reconsider just trying to pin their ears back and go after Joe Flacco. So. All in all, the biggest disappointment wasn't the offense of Pittsburgh because we kind of thought they would put points up, especially after Hendrickson was ruled out and not playing in this game for Cincinnati's defense. But, you had everyone back. You had Joey Porter Jr., Darius Slay, you had Jalen Ramsey. This entire defense was healthier than it's ever been, and they got absolutely torched in that game, Donnie.
You're so right about that because, again, handicapping yesterday, it's always hard to take the road team on a Thursday night. We've seen that back-to-back, like, hey, the Eagles are way better than the Giants, smoked. Hey, the Steelers are way better than the Bengals, beat down there. Both of those T guys getting almost a touchdown each and winning outright. But understand this, like you thought you would have an advantage. Pin your ears back on the defensive line, get after Joe Flacco. Our secondary is good enough to at least slow down Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. But you know what I also love about this? You look at Zach Taylor as the head coach, de facto offensive coordinator, right? Look, we have Joe Flacco. We know if we protect him, he can throw the football. Understand the Pittsburgh Steelers know we want to get the ball to Jamar Chase, but force feed your best football players. Did you know, Joe, 23 carries for Jamar Chase, 23 targets for Jamar Chase, 10 targets for T. Higgins, 33 targets for your 2 top wide receivers. They didn't make any mistake about it. Oh, we're going to run decoys out there and Yoshi-Vash and Fant and everybody else. No. Get the ball to your playmakers and good things happen. And good things happened all night last night. 16 catches for Chase. He was unguardable and multiple flags against that secondary trying to slow these guys down.
And really, Donnie, it comes to getting a quarterback, and this was the problem, right, with Browning, is that he held on to the ball too long, and then when he threw it, he didn't give those guys an opportunity to catch the ball. Flacco is putting it on target, on time, exactly where it needs to be, and look at what's happening. That's not by accident, Donnie. We saw that in the second half against Green Bay. We also saw Chase Brown and that offensive line finally get a running game going in the second half of the Packers. And you know what? They built off of that and went right down the teeth of this Pittsburgh defense last night.
By the way, like 31 points from the Pittsburgh Steelers team, that should be good enough to win any football game here. I was watching primarily in the first half, just trying to pay attention to what the game plans were going to be. Cincinnati, without Trey Hendrickson, they couldn't sniff a pass rush and or get close to Aaron Rodgers. I don't know how any way, shape, or form the Steelers lost that game last night. If it just was, hey, Joe Flacco was hot and Chase Brown finally had a good game. The offensive line was really good. But more importantly, Higgins and also Chase were phenomenal. But you also had Aaron Rodgers throw for 249 and 4 touchdowns. Now, the one was a punt interception. You don't want to make that play. The other one was a fantastic play by the defensive back for the Cincinnati Bengals after taking a football away and getting a knee down on an interception from DK Metcalf. But how do you lose a game for Pittsburgh with a $127 out of your lead running back on 8 yards per carry? Sometimes it doesn't make sense. Cincinnati won that game. They deserve to win it. Here we go. Major League Baseball. Let's hit last night again.
The best part about it is that they're just going about handling their business. I was listening to Arvell Reese and his literally like 5-word sentences about himself and some of the things that Caleb has been talking about. The dudes are just so locked in here about just doing their job and not worrying about all the other things and awards. They know all those happen when you go win and you win decisively.
The Bobby Carpenter Show, only on SportsGrid.
Baker Mayfield is the most important player on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they are in first place right now, looking dead in the eye of home field advantage throughout the playoffs. They played a bad division. They're going to win a lot of games, and they're the best fourth-quarter team, or at least the 2-minute warning team in all football. So, don't sleep on that.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Awesome and monumentous win against Oregon. Texas has saved their season. Texas has given themselves life to potentially crash the college football playoff party. For OU, a loss to Texas shouldn't be the end of your season. And yet with that remaining schedule, it feels like it could be. Books certainly pricing it that way. A lot of movement off of the Red River rivalry.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Paige or Caitlin? Who do you take and why?
I think for the WNBA, in a sense where they're moving toward more guards when it's been very post and big heavy in the past. But there's a reason why Caitlin Clark set all those records at college and then went into the WNBA and set all those records immediately. I really do think she's just a different level talent.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Major League Baseball. Did you watch last night? Did you cash in some tickets? I cashed in a nice little ticket on an over on a game that I thought would probably go a little bit differently, but money found, being lucky, just as good as a great handicap. We'll all take that and move on. But before we get there, like sometimes the end of the season, like my Philadelphia Phillies, Dave Dombrowski talked for like an hour saying, hey, you know what? I don't think Bryce Harper's going to be elite anymore. We'll get to that in just a little bit. But always the center of attention is the New York Yankees and their 27 world championships. And we're expected to compete for championships here. Here's their general manager, Brian Cashman, talking about Aaron Boone.
There's a lot of things for him to be proud of. I think he's a good manager. I think he's, one of the better managers. And I think like in this environment, if he was out there right now, he'd get a job rather quickly. But I also know because of our environment, he's someone that can be second-guessed 10 million times over. And I don't care who you put in that would be the same, whoever else would be there. I trust him. I think he's a good man. I think he works his tail off. I think he's got, good people that help support him, and he's got good players. And with all that, it doesn't guarantee the outcome we're all fighting for. But the guarantee is always that we're going to be fighting for it, and that's the one thing that the Steinbrenner family provides for this city is constantly having a team that you can put forth that you can believe is capable of a championship, and that's the job that we'll be doing again once again next year. I'd rather be talking about a World Series title right now, but I'm not, But the championship caliber intent is always there. So, and I do think I think we have a good manager, and I think he cares, and I think he works hard, and I think he's got good people, and I think we have good players, and we're going to try it again.
Sounds like a guy confident in his job, but understand this too. Like, we're talking about the New York Yankees at this point. Yeah, we're talking about the Yankees right now, and they're built on championships. And I know they could, the 27 World Championships. It's like like sometimes Alabama counts championships like the 1930s, and one paper voted them national champions, and they put that up there. For the Yankees, roughly over 25 years to have one championship, and also correct me if I'm wrong, how many times they get to the World Series over the past like 20 to 25 years, and yet you still hear this like, hey, things are going to be okay, and Booney's a really good manager. That's unacceptable in New York, Joe. It is.
Well, it's only unacceptable because it is the Yankees. But in reality, and I think Cashman nailed it there, and we've talked about it a lot, is that, okay, the grass is greener on the other side. Who do you think you're rolling into that market and that team that you might not, because once you pull that trigger, you better pray it's the next Joe Torre. You better pray that it doesn't blow up in 2 years and you have to do the same process over and over. Nothing. And the bottom line is, listen, he didn't put this team together. Cashman did. As long as he hasn't lost the locker room, which it appears he has not, then there's nothing to discuss. You're going to go with what you know work. You have a roster issue. You don't have a manager issue. You have an execution issue that has very little to do with Aaron Boone. So I'm with him. Like, if it ain't broke, Donnie, what's broke has nothing to do with the guy filling out the lineup card. It has everything to do with the guy that was at the podium there.
Absolutely. And by the way, you want to get to another situation here. Let's go from East Coast, New York City, big payroll, out to West Coast, big payroll, big city in Los Angeles. I remember talking about like the beginning of the season where the Dodgers were putting together like this dream team right here. Unlimited funds, can sign whoever they want. Cy Young award-winning pitchers, Shohei Ohtani, the best player maybe that we've ever seen in Major League Baseball. The bullpen hasn't worked out all that well, but they spent a ton of money on it here. It's like, boy, what's going to really help when the Dodgers rip off 5 or 6 straight World Series, and then eventually we shut down baseball so we can get a salary cap and everybody can play on the same playing field. Now you're watching an organization in the Dodgers, which you can't fault them. They're playing under the rules that baseball has given them in a high-priced market and willing to spend money to improve their baseball club, which they've done. Won a World Series last year, headed for one this year. The reason I bring this up, Joe, is they are sucking the soul out of organizations and cities as they go. You know what's fun in Major League Baseball? And something, man, 6-5, tough loss there. 5-4, we were so close in this one. Look at what the Dodgers pitching staff has done since they got to the playoffs against the Cincinnati Reds, the Philadelphia Phillies, and the best team in baseball record-wise, the Milwaukee Brewers. You can't touch their starting pitching staff, Joe. The most demoralizing run I've ever seen is what the Dodgers are doing to each and every team they are facing. Coming into the game saying, Joe, I hope we get 4 hits, not 4 runs. We are witnessing history right now. Destruction, mayhem, and terror, all by a starting pitching staff for the Dodgers that, by the way, has Ohtani on the mound tonight. 3-1 victory last night over the Brewers. It's not a surprise. This Dodgers starting pitching staff is historic.
Yeah, and it's historically expensive as well, Donnie, because there isn't one guy on that pitching staff outside of the 80-year-old, that we've only seen once in the postseason so far in Kershaw. Right. Not one of these guys came up with the Dodgers. These were all guys that were bought and paid for multi-millions of dollars over the last 5 to 6 years, Donnie. So it truly is shaping up to be the best team money can buy in Major League Baseball. And you know where it starts? Starts with that pitching staff, because this offense is putrid. But how many runs do you have to actually score, Donnie, when your starting pitching has given up 3 runs in 3 total games here in a pennant championship? You got to be kidding me here. So kudos to the Dodgers. It is the best team money can buy.
And also, like, if the Dodgers wind up winning the World Series and they go back-to-back, it's an organization that doesn't even rest on their laurels. Like, they'll go out and be like, okay, which one do we want, Bregman or Schwarber, or do we want both to add them here because we can afford them? We'll pay them hundreds of millions of dollars, but delay that payment for 10 years because we can afford it, and by the time that money comes due, we already invested it, and we made that money back up, and away we go. It's not crying spilled milk. It's using an organization saying they're being smart. They have the funds, and they're executing it. But it's crazy to see how, like, sometimes it just doesn't work. Like, we played all that money and work out. These pitchers are healthy at the right time of the season and absolutely filthy where you're just hoping to put the baseball in play. It's crazy to watch it play out, and the Dodgers probably going to close things down tonight. We'll get to that and handicap it just a little bit later. But the Blue Jays and the Mariners played last night, Joe. We had two series where two away teams won both of their games on the road and then came home. The Dodgers are holding serve fairly easy, but the Mariners had a chance to put the Toronto Blue Jays lights out, and now we're seeing a 2-2 series and all of the life back in the building for the Blue Jays. 8 runs last night, 11 hits. The bats continue to rise, and also, this was what we looked at, Joe, when they're in Toronto. You're expected to hit in that small ballpark. It's usually tough to get runs in Seattle. The Blue Jays turning up the heat in the Pacific Northwest, tying up that series.
Yeah, no, Seattle is beginning to show a little wear and tear, Donnie, over that brutal schedule. We were wondering when the adrenaline was going to wear off, right, from them, because they went from that unbelievable 15-inning marathon against Detroit in an elimination game. 24 hours later, they're playing and smacking down Toronto, who had to wait to figure out who it was that they were going to play. And then now all of a sudden they head back home, and it's like, oh boy, you were wondering when the wheels might start to fall off a little bit. And they have. The fact that a 41-year-old pitcher goes out and goes 5 2/3 and who hadn't pitched since, September 24th. And kudos, not taking anything away from Scherzer, the old dogs bark. And boy, he was barking last night. But if you're Seattle with an opportunity to go up 3-1, effectively ending the series and punching your ticket to a World Series for, the first time, wow, did they not show up here, Donnie, in a big, big way. And you had to wonder, at what point would that adrenaline wear off? And at what point would this team come back down to reality? And the answer is the last couple of games here.
Exactly. You're looking at Seattle, Joe, that goes on the road and wins those 2 games in Toronto, comes home and detonates a 2-run home run in the bottom of the first inning. It's like, this is going to be a sweep. The Dodgers are going to sweep. How boring is this? Now we have a great series underway. Now, we can't say we have a great series with the Dodgers Brewers. They'll try to fight back tonight. But if we do look at the NLCS winner odds, minus 5,000 for the Dodgers, plus 2,600 for the Brewers. I don't think anybody's saying, hey, the Brewers can come back and win 4 straight games. Absolutely not. But then the ALCS getting closer now. Look at the Jays now as the slight favorite at minus 112, and the Mariners at minus 104, slipping through their fingers, Joe.
It is, and now I feel much better about my original Blue Jays to win the series ticket now that they have evened it up. But the Dodgers, 4-0 sweep, Donnie, plus 150 yesterday, we told you.
Tom Vecchio in the building next. I'm going to find out what he's going to talk about on the early line.
The best part about it is that they're just going about handling their business. I was listening to Arvell Reese and his literally like 5-word sentences about himself and some of the things that Caleb has been talking about. The dudes are just so locked in here about just doing their job and not worrying about all the other things and awards. They know all those happen when you go win and you win decisively.
The Bobby Carpenter Show, only on SportsGrid.
Baker Mayfield is the most important player on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they are in first place right now, looking dead in the eye of home field advantage throughout the playoffs. They played a bad division. They're going to win a lot of games, and they're the best fourth-quarter team, or at least the 2-minute warning team in all football. So, don't sleep on that.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Awesome and monumentous win against Oregon. Texas has saved their season. Texas has given themselves life to potentially crash the college football playoff party. For OU, a loss to Texas shouldn't be the end of your season. And yet with that remaining schedule, it feels like it could be. Books certainly pricing it that way. A lot of movement off of the Red River rivalry.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Paige or Caitlin? Who do you take and why?
I think for the WNBA, in a sense where they're moving toward more guards when it's been very post and big heavy in the past. But There's a reason why Caitlin Clark set all those records at college and then went into the WNBA and set all those records immediately. I really do think she's just a different level talent.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Energy's high on a football Friday right here on the SportsGrid Network. It's the early line, Donnie Rightside, and also Joe Ranieri. And now we bring in Tom Vecchio, who eats pizza like a sandwich on a Friday, but he's my guy. We love him. We love the energy he brings. What's good, Tommy boy? What's good?
If last night's Bengals-Steelers game was any indication of what we're going to be seeing this week, we are in for another crazy week where, dogs are not just covering. They're probably in a spot to win some of these games. We got the 2 Monday night games. The Sunday schedule is a little bit lighter. We also have another overseas game, but let's jump into things.
Let's have some fun, Tom. And by the way, me and Tom were talking yesterday and saying, you know what? I'm going to be angry when I don't take over 2 touchdown passes there from, let's just say Aaron Rodgers. I'm going to be angry if they throw 3 total touchdown passes in this game. And Tom and I talked, Joe, about the running back position by he should get 50 yards. This guy should get 46 yards. Both running backs went off. If you were just betting props last night, Tom, you were having a blast.
You were, and I said to you yesterday, I thought Warren was going to have a huge game, and the 49 or whatever line was for him was way too low. I thought he was going to have 80-plus combined. He had more than 100 on the ground, not just 80. But it was a good game from a prop perspective, way more scoring than I initially anticipated.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah, that was fun because the minute that game was flying over, you knew, we're going to be cashing a few tickets here on those over props all day long here. But we got some pretty good games coming up this week still that we have to learn a little something about a few of these teams. I don't know about you, Tom, but I'm still on the fence here when it comes to Denver. I don't know what to make of this team. Where are you with the Denver Broncos here? I mean, I know they're home, but I'm still not convinced. Are you?
I'll put it like this. The way the Broncos played against one of the worst defenses in the league last week against the Jets, to me, is unacceptable. And if you're supposed to have this franchise quarterback, you not being able to score against a bad defense is a bad thing. I know the line's 7 for the game this week against the Giants. If you have it at 7.5, I would definitely take the Giants. There's no doubt about it. I would never lay the 7 with the Broncos. I'd absolutely take it. However, the Broncos still are a good team. They may not be great, but they still are a good team when it's all said and done. So when we look at this matchup defensively, I think this is a spot that they bounce back. It's an overseas game. Maybe you want to put an asterisk on and say, okay, we can kind of forgive some of that, but this has to be a big game for their offense. Specifically, let's get to Courtland Sutton for him over his receiving yards, sitting at 56.5. Coming into last night's game, or before last night's game, I should say, the Giants were dead last in the league in terms of total receiving yards allowed to opposing wide receivers. Not just receiving yards allowed, specifically to wide receivers. Courtland Sutton is their guy that went on, paid him all the money in the offseason. He leads the team in target share. He needs to have a bounce-back game. He was matched up against Sauce Gardner last week. This is a time for him to bounce back, go clearly over 56.5.
Tom, we're looking at Sunday afternoon, a couple spots here, some rain in the forecast and heavy winds, and also a team that seems like they're ready to go in turmoil with their head coach and also their quarterback. That's the Miami Dolphins. They're going to take on a pretty stingy defense in Cleveland with bad weather conditions. That total, Tom, 41.5, they're gone. I now see 36.5 at some outlets right now and a slight favorite to Cleveland. How do we play maybe a player prop or two in this game?
We have to be looking to Tua, and it has to be about the under on his attempts. We always throw the yards in there. His yards are very light. Both quarterbacks are very light in this matchup. But I want to go to the attempts under 30.5 for Tua. It's got a little bit of juice on it, but I do believe it's the right spot. We have to be looking at what they're going to be doing. It's also about what the Browns will be doing. Obviously, running is going to be the name of the game for both of these teams. But when we look at the Browns specifically, last week, rookie quarterback Dylan Gabriel threw the ball 51 times. I doubt that Kevin Stefanski wants to have a rookie quarterback throwing the ball 40, 45, 50 times 2 weeks in a row, especially given the weather issues. So neither team's going to be throwing the ball at a super high rate. when we look to the Dolphins, and this is all to say that I think Quinshon Judkins is going to have an amazing game. The Dolphins right now, 31st in the league when it comes to EPA per rush, 27th in defensive rush success rate, 28th when it comes to stuff run percentage, and 31st in yards after contact per attempt. They are terrible against the run. We have seen this over the past few weeks. Rico Dowdle went off against them, putting up over 200 yards combined. So when it comes down to, Quinshon Judkins is going to be the primary option on the offense. His rush attempts prop is sitting at 20.5. His rushing yards prop is sitting at 93. So the Browns are simply going to be running the ball. The Dolphins will also be running the ball with Achane to an extent, and the ball is just going to be out of Tua's hands, given the weather concerns and given the fact that this is still a very tough defense.
I got to ask you, both of you guys, but Tom, I got to ask you, because I had a conversation with a buddy of mine about his Survivor entry. And he said, this is the time of the year where, you gotta, where everyone's going left, you gotta go right. He wants to make the Browns his Survivor pick, Tom, this year.
Let's go.
And what are you thinking?
I heard that from someone else. Someone else asked me that exact same question. I don't mind it. The real question is, who else do you have available? Who else have you used? Because I can make the argument for Green Bay if you dodge them against the Browns in week 3. I can make the argument for the Lions in a bounce back spot when Tampa has no receivers, although the Lions have some of their own defensive issues at a certain point. I wouldn't play the Pats this week going up against the Titans who just fired their coach. Could I talk myself into the Bears at home going up against the Saints? I think I could. So I don't mind the Browns in a bubble, but it's really who else do you have available?
I'm telling you, and that team's the New York Jets you have available. That's probably not the team you want to take here on a suicide pool at this point right now. Understand this, Tom. We love to look at those high-scoring games, Washington and Dallas, easy to handicap. But please tell me this, and Joe, again, is a Jets fan. How do you play the New York Jets from a prop perspective this weekend? Is it just all running backs are going to run 60 times? They have no pass catchers. How do you play the Jets prop-wise this week?
It would be Breece Hall combined rushing, receiving. I will say we have seen the Panthers there are some metrics to suggest the Panthers have been sneaky good against the run. Mason Taylor, their rookie tight end, I forget if he's the 3rd or 4th round pick, he was actually second on the team in target share when Garrett Wilson was there. So obviously removing him is an issue, but this is a spot that I honestly don't know who's going to step up. If I could check this quickly, Breece Hall, Josh Reynolds, Isaiah Davis, Tyler Johnson, Alan Lazard. He's out as well. So it might be Mason Taylor. He had an 18% target share, which was second highest on the team.
Yep.
Back to the business here, by the way. Justin Fields, just looking at FanDuel, 171.5 is his passing prop in this game. Should be a lot of fun to try to figure these games out, but that's what we do, and that's what we need Tom Vecchio for. Tom, thanks for rising and grinding with us today on a Football Friday on the SportsGrid Network. We'll talk to you soon, but from myself and Joe Ranieri, more football talk next in the NFL. Watching Tua Tagovailoa's post-game press conferences where he basically is like, I'm getting paid, deal with it. By the way, how's the team? Nobody shows up to meetings, players-only meetings, people skip out. Nobody cares around here, and we lost again. Tua threw 3 interceptions. Yes, he's part of the problem. James Franklin got fired from Penn State, we'll talk about later. When is McDaniels getting shown the door? This team is ridiculous, Joe.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Tell the coordinators what you want. I just don't get it. I don't. These coaches are so chummy with each other that they don't want to throw their guy under the bus. You're getting paid the $10 million. He's not. Take a rein and change the game plan. Right. If it's not working and the offensive coordinator is not getting it done, you need to have input.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
You love this segment. You nicknamed this segment. You sort of put your mark on it with the rats with the cash.
There's rats.
Right? And they're the garbage games. Although one of the games...
What are you saying, rats hang out in garbage? What's wrong with
you? Yeah, they do. Hang out in New York City. You'll see it.
A lot of rats in New York City. That's the way it is, man. Hey, we don't want to throw out any names out there. Exactly.
Philly, too. Yeah, we don't talk about that.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
you may be surprised, because I am, that the athlete in the world who has become the first billionaire is Cristiano Ronaldo. I did not know that, and I did not have that on my bingo card. So after his contract that he just signed, it means that he's the first athlete to ever earn $1 billion playing sports.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
More NFL talk. It's never a bad thing. It's a Football Friday. It's a SportsGrid network. It's how we get down to business to set the table, not only for the rest of your SportsGrid day today, but your SportsGrid weekend all the way through, which includes college football today. On Saturday, myself and Joe Lisi, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. right up till kickoff. And then on Sunday, an extended version of Pro Football Today, which will be 10 o'clock to 1 o'clock to carry you through this Rams and Jacksonville Jaguars game. That will be Joe Lisi and also Kevin Walsh right here on the grid. So let's focus on this game overseas in London. The Rams taking on the Jaguars. Matthew Stafford, he'll be there. Trevor Lawrence, he'll be there as well. Puka Nacua doesn't look like he's going to be there. One of the best wide receivers in the game, possibly down, and a favorite for the Rams on the neutral site. Jacksonville used to playing overseas in London. Any advantages for the Jags here if we don't see Puka Nacua?
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's not great that they won't have him, but to me, I think this is all about the Rams and Jared Verse and others on the defensive side making life absolutely miserable, for Jacksonville and Goldilocks there. I think that's going to be where the issues come in for Jacksonville is under pressure. We know Trevor Lawrence, he's going to struggle here, and he's going to struggle because Jacksonville and he like to force maybe sometimes the ball downfield a little bit much into zone coverage is a recipe for disaster, especially when the Rams are coming after him and can get to him, Donnie, with 4 guys. They don't have to bring the house to get to Trevor Lawrence here. So I think that is the biggest issue for Jacksonville. And because of that, even if Nacua is not there, it still feels like Matt Stafford and this Los Angeles team will have the edge on what I thought was an overrated Jacksonville defense to begin with.
Let me ask you a question here, Joe, too, because you hear a lot of talk out of there with Liam Cohen saying we have to force feed the football to Travis Hunter. Now, usually when we hear that, we want to jump right on those props and get after it. Is that more of a smokescreen, or he's basically saying we drafted this guy high? It's my job to get him the football. We're going to start to do that this week?
Duval. Well, you got to get your playmakers the ball, right? And the kid is absolutely electric. But the problem is I don't know if this is the week against this defense that's going to work overseas. Early start time against the Rams defense. Again, I only need to send 4 guys and I can get Trevor Lawrence off his spot. That means he's going to try to force the ball, and that bad things will happen there for Jacksonville in this spot.
Remember Chris Berman used to say, nobody circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills. We're not talking about the Buffalo Bills. We're talking about the Philadelphia Eagles. They better circle the wagons. They had a 17-3 lead against Denver at home, looking to push another victory across the board, collapsed in the fourth quarter. Then they take on the lowly New York Giants on a Thursday night football game and got absolutely smacked in that one. Now they head to Minnesota where Carson Wentz is quarterback, and you are a favorite. If the Philadelphia Eagles lose 3 games in a row, I don't know if that locker room is going to be able to sustain, because right now all the vibes are still getting back together. And yeah, we lost that game last Thursday and had a couple extra days to think about it. Team meetings here. Everybody's in a good spot. We're going to use Saquon Barkley more. They're a favorite, Joe. Let's call it 2.5 in a total of 43.5. This seems like a powder keg situation that could set the Eagles back on the correct path or could really set them back. And you want to hear a locker room starting to let's just say, bitch and moan? It's going to happen if they lose this game.
Yeah, no, I listen, Philadelphia, forget about the final score, and they were 7-point favorite. They still outgained the Giants by nearly 1 yard per play there. And they didn't have their top 2 defensive players, as you mentioned earlier, in Quinton Mitchell and Jalen Carter. They also didn't have Landon Dickerson available for that game. But guess what? Mitchell, Carter, and Dickinson have been practicing and all look like they are ready to go for this game. And I love the bounce back spot here because teams that are coming off a loss as a road favorite, especially of over 6 points, 124-77-5 here. So it has been a very profitable situation, especially an experienced team like Philadelphia. Bounce back city against, I don't know, who cares who the quarterback is for Minnesota at this point. To me, it's all about a get-right spot with the right guys healthy for Philadelphia. I think it's a bargain. Again, bet Philly now, because once these guys, all of a sudden it starts to go, yeah, Carter's playing, Dickerson's playing, I can see this line creeping closer to a field goal.
You're right about one thing, too, because early in the week, Joe, I looked at this and said Justin Jefferson might be the best wide receiver in football. And if that Eagles defense is going to run in here with, like, your top outside cornerback, Keely Ringo, they're just going to force feed him the football like you saw last night with Jamar Chase. But the fact that Quinyon Mitchell, who seemingly had a hamstring injury bad enough where he couldn't finish the Giants game, and we're not talking about, let's pull him out at the end of the game where it doesn't matter. He was out early in the first half. If he's healthy enough to play in this game, and we're not saying shut down Justin Jefferson, but give him his 7 catches for 80 yards and 1 touchdown, and deal with the rest here, the Eagles should be in some pretty good shape. I can't wait to watch it as a fan, but also to see where this rest of the season is going to go. That's something to keep an eye on. Keep an eye on hour number 2. It's coming up next, and also the early lineup. Stay tuned.